Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato sama sambuddhassa. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Basics Discussion Circle and Meditation. My name's Travis. I facilitate this class. For now, I'm back online. We'll see what next week brings. I'll only be online if there's not a class here in person, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah. So, hello Roberto. Hello Tara. I think we'll go right into the meditation, and then maybe I'll talk a little bit afterwards. We'll do a breathing through the body style of meditation tonight. Just a few things before I get started. Just in terms of posture, it's helpful to have feet flat on the ground. If you're in a comfortable chair, it's best not to fully utilize the backrest, then you're less likely to fall asleep. The tongue can be gently pressed up against the roof of the mouth and the back of the teeth. It prevents the buildup of saliva, which can become a distraction. Throughout the meditation, I'll be giving suggestions such as breathing into the eyes and the ears. I'm not suggesting you literally do this, please don't. But the image of it, the perception of it, breathing in through these different parts of the body, is a way of kind of transferring the sensation of breath, which is very much a tension relaxing sensation. If we make the breath comfortable, it's very much a tension relaxing sensation. And we can use this kind of breathing in through the eyes and the ears or different parts of the body to relax parts of the body that we might not be sure how to consciously relax. It's easy enough to say, soften the forehead, drop the shoulders. It's a little bit harder to say, release the tension in the center of the head. So that's what these instructions are intended for. In a practical sense, we'll be breathing throughout the body tonight. In a practical sense, the process of breathing is involved throughout the entire body. Air flows into the lungs, and then oxygen animates the nerves and the blood vessels and fuels the entire body. So the breath is present throughout the entire body. We just may not be directly aware of it. So that's kind of what we're working with here tonight. With that, we'll get started. Closing the eyes and taking 3 deep breaths slowly. Noticing if deep breathing feels good for the body. If it does, we can keep on breathing in this way. If it doesn't, feel free to switch things up. Maybe even deeper still or more shallow, heavier or lighter. In long, out short. In short, out long. Just playing around for a bit. noticing what feels best for the body in this moment. This type of experimentation with the breath is really valuable. It grants direct insight into how the way that we breathe affects the mind, our mental state, and our experience of the moment, as well as sensitizing ourselves to the needs of the body. But if this experimentation just feels too involved right now, you could simply pose the question in the mind as to what kind of breathing would feel the most energizing or the most calming, and then just watch how the breath responds. Once you've found a rhythm and texture of breathing that does feel good, next we can begin to settle into it and soften into the moment, noticing if there's any sense of forcing or straining around the breathing process, and consciously relaxing that tension, allowing the breath by its nature to flow in with ease and flow out with ease. You can even question what kind of perception you hold of the breath and of awareness. Do you perceive them as two separate things? The breath being what the body's doing, and awareness being the mind watching the body. What would happen if you shifted that awareness, that perception, and perceived breath and awareness as one thing, one fluid activity? Without the breath, awareness would die away. Without awareness, we wouldn't notice the breath. So they could be thought of as one thing instead of two. And just notice if that shift in perception causes a shift in sensation. And we can gently guide this breath awareness down into the stomach and the area around the abdomen. Noticing how the breath feels in this part of the body. Noticing if there's any sense of tension or tightness in the abdomen. And seeing if we can allow the breath to flow through that tension, dissolving it away bit by bit through the in breath and keeping it relaxed all the way through the out breath. Gently guiding our awareness up from the stomach into the center of the chest and the area around the heart. Repeating the same process here, noticing how breath awareness feels in the chest, and changing it up if you need to. Noticing if there's any sense of tension or constriction in the chest or the heart, and seeing if we can allow breath awareness to flow through the tension, soothing it. If you want, you can even imagine the breath flowing in right here at the heart. So you don't have to push or pull it from anywhere else in the body. Breathing in, the breath flows in from the front of the chest, soothing the heart. Breathing out, the breath radiates out in all directions, opening the chest. And with the chest spacious and relaxed, you can gently raise this breath awareness one more time up into the center of the head. And as we focus here, we can imagine the breath coming in not only through the nose, but in through the eyes and the ears, in from the back of the head, down through the top of the head, gently flowing deep into the brain, soothing mental tension. As we breathe out, we can allow the breath to radiate out in all directions, dissolving tension in the scalp and the forehead, the area around the eyes. Being very gentle, the nerves of the head tend to be overworked, never forcing. When sensation in the head is spacious and relaxed, we can allow this breath awareness to flow down to fill the rest of the body. Down the arms as we breathe in, relaxing the shoulders. Out the hands as we breathe out, soothing tension in the hands. Down the spine as we breathe in, relaxing the neck and the back. Radiating out from the spine as we breathe out, soothing tension. Breath awareness flowing down the legs as we breathe in, relaxing the hips and the knees. Radiating out from the feet as we breathe out, soothing tension. And then finally, with this meditation, we can take all of these various areas that we focused on in this past session and sort of stitch them together in our awareness. So we're aware of the entire body as we breathe in, and we're relaxing tension throughout the entire body as we breathe out. And a good way to go about this is to pick whatever area you found it easiest to maintain your focus and make that the center point of your awareness. And then, bit by bit, with each breath, you can expand out the periphery of your awareness from that point to eventually fill the entire body. You may even notice that the awareness has a tendency to shrink, especially on the out breath. But that's no big deal. You can just stretch it back out again. Breathing in, aware of the entire body. Breathing out, soothing the whole body. Breathing in, filling the body with breath awareness. Breathing out, soothing the body, relaxing tension. And once again, taking 3 deep breaths slowly. Slowly opening the eyes and stretching if needed. Never in a rush to leave the meditation. So, as always, I'm curious to hear how that experience of meditation was for you, whether you found it easy or difficult, simple, confusing, whatever it may be that you're sitting with, or if you have any questions about the meditation. There's the live chat right over either here or here. Um, if you'd like to let me know. Uh, so, with this, one thing I don't mention that often, um, with this style of meditation, kind of it's guided a bit differently than it's done on its own. The kind of intention of the way that we go through the body section by section, that's intended to be probably a bit faster than what we do here. Um, I do it slower section by section to kind of give everyone a chance to really settle into these different areas. The kind of intended function or method of this style of meditation is that you would go through at your own pace, um, even just several breaths in each spot that we went through. But you would cycle through it over and over again until the mind starts to feel like it's settling down a bit. And then and only then would you switch to expanding to be fully in the body. So you kind of go section by section to hone the awareness and also to let the mind settle a bit. The mind's really restless if we try to just sit here with a full bodied awareness right from the start. So it's kind of the intention of going through section by section. But it can be really helpful, really beneficial to kind of cycle through maybe even just like 3 breaths in each spot, and then cycle back through again and again. It makes it a lot easier to remain focused on it. The only reason I don't guide it like that is that would be me. It feels like that would be me talking quite a bit, even compared to how we did it tonight. Yeah, maybe we'll next week, whether that's on here or in person, I'll attempt some kind of middle point. Sherry shared that it helped a lot with the end of the day brain fog. They feel refreshed. And oh, it's good to see you as well. Yeah, I'm glad that you feel refreshed. This type of meditation is really, it can be really pleasant, really enjoyable, because there's an emphasis on making the body a pleasant place to stay, so that the mind is more likely to stay present. Make the present moment a pleasant moment. Does anyone have any questions or anything like that? So Roberto shared, thanks Travis, is the breath in is the breath in breath awareness used as a stand-in for any action, or is there a deeper meaning in using the breath? So I guess what I would say is the deeper meaning or the reason we use the breath. I think that's kind of the question. Um, the main reason that there's so much focus and emphasis on the breath is because for as long as we're alive, we have the breath. It's something that's always there, always present, and it's something that we can always tap into, right? So if we look at a different object of meditation like loving kindness, or forgiveness, our ability to do a loving kindness meditation or forgiveness meditation will vary heavily based on our mind state. If we're really riled up, really angry about something, loving kindness, though an antidote to anger, can be kind of hard to center in on, focus in on. And it can feel very artificial if we're very angry and we're trying to generate this loving kindness, right? With the breath, regardless of our situation, it's something that's always there. It's not something that we have to, like with loving kindness, we have to give rise to loving kindness, right? With the breath, we just simply have to turn our awareness towards it. There's some action and activity that can be done, like we do in the beginning, of noticing if the breath's erratic and calming it and turning it into a rhythm and texture of breath that feels best in that moment. But the breath is used simply because it's always there. And the entire path can kind of be found within the breath, within, because what the Buddha did, the type of meditation that he did for the most part, on the night of his awakening, where he discovered the path and all that stuff, was a breath meditation, or predominantly breath meditation. So we use that as a tool because breath meditation is a technique that can take us from wherever we are all the way through to the ultimate end goal, etc. Though, for us here, we're just trying to suffer less. And the only other thing that I would say on that is the breath and breath awareness used as a stand-in for anything, um, is using this. You've sat with me before when we do like the kind of refined breathing, where we try to like tune into the breath behind the breath, right? But so the breath and breath awareness, the way we used it today, basically is a stand-in for that kind of field of breath that's always there. That's not dependent on in or out. It's just kind of this cosmic background radiation in the experience of the present moment. And what we kind of do, right, because the in and out breath very much is just air coming in through the nostrils or the mouth into the lungs and the stomach and then exiting, right? That's kind of the in and out breath. But the way that we focus the breath throughout different parts of the body, that's getting closer to more in tune with that background breath. And that background breath could even just be thought of, as I mentioned in the beginning, as oxygen flowing through the body, doing everything that oxygen does for the body, keeping us alive. So that's, in a sense, if you're asking if there's a stand-in, the in and out breath is being used as a stand-in or a proxy to this background breath. Tara shared, "Thank you, Travis. This was very enjoyable for sure. Had several strong sensations." Awesome. Those are always fun. And they can be really fun to play with as well, to try to allow them to spread or move throughout the body. Rachel shared, "I'm outside in my car. Made it much better to feel connected while practicing via YouTube." Nice. Some solitude can be really helpful. Sherry shared, "I did your 5 remembrance meditation on New Year's Eve." Via the YouTube video that I have, there's a playlist on the YouTube Temple's YouTube channel, a guided meditation playlist with a few of meditations that I filmed, independent of leading class. It was a good way to end and start the year. Awesome. I'm glad. The 5 remembrances is one of my favorite practices. I try not to do it here too much because I know for a lot of people it's very challenging. But it can be really beneficial, and I think in that meditation I kind of explained the purpose of them too, maybe prior to the meditation. But the 5 remembrances are, just for anyone who's curious, I am subject to aging. Aging is unavoidable. I'm subject to illness. Illness is unavoidable. I'm subject to death. Death is unavoidable. I will grow different, separate from all that is dear and appealing to me. and I am the owner and recipient of my actions, the owner and heir to my actions. And while that can sound kind of morbid at first glance, for a lot of people, it sounds very negative or very morbid, but it's actually just very realistic. There's nothing said there that's pessimistic necessarily. No one would argue that they're immune to aging, illness, or death. It's just things we don't like to look at. But looking at them and relaxing into them can be really beneficial, because when we really see and feel that there's no rationale behind being afraid of these things, because no matter how afraid or unafraid we are of them, they'll come regardless, and they'll come when they come. So those recollections can be really beneficial, and it's definitely an excellent way to start the New Year's. I At the temple we have a tradition of every year on New Year's, except for these past two, for obvious reasons. Uh, we would start the new year with, we would have like a potluck type of thing, and then we would start the new year meditating through. We'd start at, I think, like 11:50 or 11:40, and we would meditate through all of the chaos of the New Year's celebration, all the fireworks going off, the dogs barking, all of that kind of stuff. We didn't do that these last 2 years, but I did, because I was here. I did continue that tradition on this last New Year's, where I came up here by myself and did it. It was really interesting because there was almost a humor to it, because I've never, as far as I remember, I've never actually, in the 10 years that I've been around the community, I've never actually participated in the New Year's celebration, because I have a dog at my parents' house, and it's very much my dog. And she, like most dogs, hates fireworks and all that kind of stuff. So I've never actually, and my parents would always go out somewhere celebrating whatever they're doing. Um, and So I would stay with my dog. So I was never able to be part of it. So it was really funny that, to me, that the first year really that I was able to be part of it, I was the only one who was part of it. Uh, so it's just kind of humorous. But starting the new year in silence is beautiful, and hopefully next year we'll be able to actually do that again. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? We have time for one more question. So Rachel asked, is it always good to clear and relieve anger? So this is something that there's not within the Buddhist community, but just within people in general. It's something that's widely polarizing, right? Within Buddhism, anger is never seen as skillful. It's never seen as beneficial. A lot of times the argument is that getting angry about something is a good motivator. Like, anger is a good motivator. It gives me the energy to go um, fight injustices, or whatever the reasoning may be for the anger being beneficial, right? Within Buddhism, anger is never seen as something that's beneficial. In fact, there's a sutra where someone asked the Buddha if there's anything that he condones the killing of, because one of the precepts is to not kill, not harm. And the Buddha responds, this isn't, verbatim, I don't remember it in detail, but the Buddha basically responds that there is only one thing that he condones the killing of, and that's anger. Because anger is solely detrimental to the practice and detrimental to peace of mind. Anger can be seen as a motivator, but the problem is, an example that I've heard before that I really enjoyed is trying to get something done, being kind of comparing trying to get something done, trying to complete a task with archery. And so anger is really good at pulling the bowstring back, but it doesn't have any aim. It can't aim at all. So anger is really good at pulling the bowstring back, but the bow is shaking all over. And yeah, we can fire the arrow off. We can exert that effort, get that energy out. Chances are it's not going to accomplish what we were hoping for it to accomplish. And pretty good chances that it's going to have some form of collateral damage when we don't know how to aim. So the practice is learning how to kind of motivate ourselves through compassion rather than this kind of idea of righteous anger. Motivate ourselves and cultivate the mind in such a way that when it sees an injustice, we more reflect on what can we do to help lessen that injustice rather than focusing on the storyline of how horrible that injustice is, right? And then getting all riled up and then trying to do something about it. Again, with no aim, no clear focus. And it just brings, in my own experience, it just brings more unpleasantness to the situation when we approach it with anger. So it's very important, at least within my own practice, within my own opinion, that is when anger arises, we do what we can to uproot it. Another example is practicing like your hair is on fire. When you're angry about something, it's like your hair is on fire. And instead of focusing on how, because my hair is on fire, I'm so motivated to go find water to put it out. The emphasis is more on putting out the fire. And the calmer we are when our hair is on fire, the more likely we are to get to the water without something happening. So yeah, hopefully that's helpful or gave some context. With that, we will close. If comfortable, please join palms. May any merit gained from this meditation and discussion be dedicated to all those who suffer at this time. May all beings in all directions, without limit or exception, be healthy, safe, joyful, and at ease. May we all be healthy, safe, joyful, and at ease. Metta karuna mudita peka sangha teya cetasa chaturisam bharatva yarati samabungaru bhavena sabadammaru bhavena sabasangharu bhavena sote hantu nirantaram. Good night, everyone. I'll see y'all next week, either online or in person. Not sure yet. Have a good night.